Hi, I'm Sen and welcome back, and this is, I believe, part 4 of the Absolute Positioning series, mini series. And in this one we are looking at creating the solutions for the tasks you were given at the end of part 3. And so this is what they look like here, and this is the first one. Okay, this one should be fairly straightforward to do because we've got all the values in front of us, so it should be nice and easy. And what I'm going to do is just move this over to the right hand side, and the trick here, I'm just going to zoom out a bit, is I'm going to go through these one at a time. Okay, so this is a singular parent and I'm going to work on that one, and then we'll move on to the second parent. So this one should be the easier one to do anyway, because we've got one parent, which is this minty green color in the background with 3 children. And as always, we will create a new file in the same name, which is Absolute Test 3. So let's do file, new file, Absolute Test -3.html. And as we've done before, we're going to create a HTML5 basic page or base page. We'll make life quick and put in the style tag ready for us there. And then what I'm going to do is just sort of shrink this to the side so that I can see this. Okay, so rather than having really lengthy names, even though we're going to still use the BEM method, I'm just going to use P for parent and C for child. Okay, so this is going to be our first one here. So we're going to have a class of P1, okay, because that's our parent. And then inside there we have 3 children. So we're going to have dot P1 _C1. And then dot P1 _C2 and dot P1 _C3. Okay, I'm not going to put the text into these, there's no need to. These are just there to let us know where they are. So now we've got our structure, which is, like I said before, that's the most important thing to do, is to get our structure right. So parent with 3 children, parent, 3 children. So let's start off, and so with P1 we can see we can do position, not relative, I want to go for absolute, and then we can see it is top 100 pixels, it's left 100 pixels, we've got a width of 800 and a height of 800 as well. Okay, and then we'll just give it a background color, and let's just go for a, is there a lime color? There you go, light green, that's probably what it is. Okay, now we can do the child, so it's P1 _C1, and we go for position absolute again, and we go for top or 0 pixels, we go for our left of 0 pixels, we go for a width and a height of 200, and background color, just like it's salmon or something similar, and then we go with C2. So again, dot P1 _C2, and we can actually cheat here. We can probably just copy, paste most of that in there. Okay, probably top myself left. Here it'll be right. And then the background color, just make that green. and then again you can copy and paste it. And I say I only advise you to do this if you feel comfortable with actually being able to replicate the code quite easily. So top is 400, left is 300. So top 400, and now I've got to change this to left. Make that 300. Width and height's the same. Background colour, obviously is pink. Okay, it's obviously not the same colour pink, but that'll do. And if we save that and we view that, so open with Live Server. Okay, we can see between the two, they are absolutely spot on. Colours aren't quite right. Oops, I've just closed the original one, but that's absolutely fine. Just got the old one back up. Okay, so the original and our replacement, perfect. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to swing over to the next one. So we've just got that one more or less in the view. Okay, so this one, again, like I said before, it's important to get the HTML structure correct first before we start looking at the CSS. So we can see we've got a parent, and then we've got two children, and child 1 has one child and child 2 has two children. So we have to look at that in our heads and see what that will look like as a HTML structure. So we start off with the class of P2 for the parent, and then like we said, they've got two children. So let's start off with child 1. So dot P2 double underscore C1. Okay, so parent 2 child 1, and we know that inside our child element there's another element. Okay, so this is going to be a class of P2 double underscore, and I'm going to call this GC1 for grandchild. And there we have it. Okay, that is the structure for this left hand side. Then we've got to be careful how we come up, because this is for grandchild, this is for child. So we step into just the normal parent class, and we'll start off with child 2. So P2 double underscore C2, and make sure I put the dot there, otherwise it won't work. Okay, and then in this child we have two grandchildren. Now we can't call this P2 double underscore GC1 because we've already got a GC1. So the first grandchild, which will be this one here, will be GC2. So again, dot P2 double underscore GC2, and then that has a sibling, so it's next to it. Again, dot P2 double underscore GC3. Okay, and there we have our required structure: the parent, the child, and the two grandchildren. And then all we need to do is to add in their code, their CSS code. So when we come to the CSS, some people often wonder in what order should you write it, and I always recommend you go for the order in which you see it. And because we see this element first, the parent 1 element first, all of that should be before we see the parent 2 element. It just helps us to keep things in order, and it also means that if we need to do an update, it is more logical in the way that we can find the information. So we'll start off with, as I said before, dot P2, which is just the parent on its own. And as usual, we're going to go for position absolute. We're going to give it a top of 20 pixels. And it says left of 920 pixels. Oh, sorry, 950 pixels. And then we have a width of 900 pixels. And a height also of 900 pixels. And then the background color, not quite sure what that is. It's been a few days since I wrote it. Let's go for Dark Slate Grey. It's not that, but it'll be good enough. So then we go to the left hand side again and we look at the first child. So it is .p2 _c1. And again we go for position absolute. It is top of 10 pixels and left of 10 pixels. And then we have a width of 350, followed by a height of 800. And of course a background colour. That's some sort of weird purple. It's not dark, let's just, I don't know. I'll tell you what, let's go for hot pink. I don't think it's hot pink, but let's go with it. Okay, so we've now got parent number 2 plus child 1. Now we need grandchild 1. So again, it's fairly straightforward. .p2 grandchild. So this would be GC1, first grandchild. And again, we're going to do position absolute. We are going to say bottom 10 pixels. Say left 10 pixels. We've got a width of 330 and a height of 200 and a colour which I have no idea what it is, and therefore we shall just choose a random one, green yellow. Okay, so that's grandchild 2, or grandchild 1 I should say. Now we go to the second side, and therefore we're looking at parent 2 and child 2. Let's just scroll this up a bit. Okay, so as always, in this it's going to be position absolute, and then we're going to give its top value of 10 pixels and a right value of 10 pixels. A width of 350 and oops, missed that line there, and a height of 800. Okay, and then we'll do a background colour of, what's that, burnt orange or something? Orange red. Okay. And then we're going to go for P2 GC2 because we already had GC1. And again, position absolute. And see its top is 250 pixels. Its left value is 10 pixels. It's got a width of 310 and a height of 800. And of course we need to go background colour, and I'm just going to go aquamarine. Then we have the final one here, .p2 grandchild number 3. And again it's going to be position absolute, and then we've got bottom of 10 pixels, a left value of 10 pixels, a width of 310 and a height of 200. And then we use a background colour of, let's go for Blanche Almond. So we save that, and hopefully this one's now been updated. Let's move it across. And that doesn't look quite right. So we have to ask ourselves, what is going wrong here? Looks like I've got the height wrong for grandchild number 2. which I have. I've got the height here of 800, and that should be 200. Let's save that. Let's double check it. There we go. Okay, perfectly done. Okay, so now we've got to look at the final task in this little mini series, which is coming up. Okay, so this is the final challenge, and what I'm going to do first is just maximize this and make sure that we are at 100%. So this one's a bit harder to do in that we have no values on the screen, and I think I might have actually misspoke in the last video when I said this is what you might get in real life. To be honest, if you work in a professional website company, you would have mock-ups already done before you start your web design, so it's rarely you would get this, but it is a challenge to prove how good your actual skill set is. And so again, we analysed it and we see we've got one parent and two parents. Okay, so we've got two separate parents, and the first parent is a lot more in depth than the second one. Okay, because we've got this one parent, then we've got a child, then we've got a grandchild, and we've got a great grandchild in there, another grandchild here, we have a child here, and a great grandchild there. Okay, so there's quite a few elements in this one. This one's fairly straightforward, a parent plus a child. Because we don't have any absolute values, and obviously I've got the original code that I can reference, but I've personally done this a couple of days afterwards so that I can't remember the code, and yes, I could go and look at it, but I'm not going to, because that would be ruining the point. What I can see is that I've probably got 1, 2, 3, probably fit about 4 of those, somewhere between 3 and 4 of those in here. And I know this is a 1920 screen, so if we go for a quarter of that, I would say that this is probably about 500 pixels wide. So it looks like it's going to be a square. So we start off the parent at like 500 by 500. But like I said before, that's that part of the CSS. We really need to focus on the HTML structure first. Okay, so again, we're going to move this to the side here. I'm going to close this one off. We're going to create a brand new page. We'll call it absolute test-4.html. Okay, and again we'll start off with a basic HTML5 template. So you can see it all. Get back over here. We're going to put in the style, internal style, and we're going to body. So let's start off at the top. So we're going to start off with a .p1 because we've got our first parent. Inside there, we can see we have a child, so .p1_c1. Inside that child, we have two grandchildren. So let's go with the first one. So .p1_grandchild1. Inside grandchild 1, we have a great grandchild. So .p1_great grandchild 1, and then this is where we've got to make sure we get our levels right. So that's child 1, so we're inside, let's stay inside child 1, there you go. So we can have .p1_grandchild 2. Okay, and that's just checking this looks right. Parent, then one child, which finishes there. Hang on. Nope, see I've got this. Nope, that's right, that's correct. So let's check that. We've got parent, and then child 1, and then inside there we have grandchild 1, and inside there we have great grandchild 1, and then we also have child 2. Okay, and that's all inside this here. Okay, which makes that all inside this parent. Now we've got this one over here as well to deal with. Okay, which is child 2. So now we can do .p1_ child 2, and child 2 also has a grandchild, so it is dot p1 double underscore, and we look at it would be grandchild number 3, so GC3, and there we have it. Okay, that is the structure for this one here. You can see it does get a bit complicated, and this is what's very nice about Visual Studio Code, where we have these lines which show us the starting and ending tags connection. So we can see here, this is all child 1, which should be this dark navy blue, and when we check that in there, we have grandchild 1, and this one which is grandchild 2, and then inside this one, grandchild 1, we have great grandchild 1. And now we've also got this one out here, so we come all the way out of these and start the parent2 div, which has just got one child, so dot p2 double underscore child 1. Remember, you can be child 1 again because it is from a different parent. It's not a p1 child, it's a p2 child. And there you have it. There we have our HTML structure, which is, like I say, roughly a bit complicated. And again, it's meant to be complicated. If you can work this one out on your own, you are, you understand absolute positioning and HTML structures really well. And that's a really important skill to have, obviously, in web design. So let's move on to the next bit, where we start doing the CSS. And again, we'll start off with this big one and we'll work our way in. First thing is to start with the parent. Because this one is more complex than the previous one, and that we don't have the values, we're going to be checking this more often as we are going along. So let's start off, first of all, with creating the parent1 tag. And position, I'll go for absolute. It looks like it's probably about 10 pixels out from both. As I say, we're not trying to get this to be perfect. We're trying to get this as close as possible to show that you understand how this works. Okay, so perfection is not what we're after here. We should give it a top 10 pixels, a left value of 10 pixels, and I think we said before we're going to go for a width value of 500 pixels and a height of 500 pixels, and we should give it a background color. I'm assuming there's a slate grey, yeah. And then we're going to save that, and we are going to open it with Live Server, and we can see that that looks like it's more or less right. It might have got it slightly bigger, but it's good enough for me. Okay, so next thing to do is to deal with child 1. So dot p1 double underscore c1, and let's go for a game position. No, I don't want relative, I want absolute. And again, it looks like sort of like 10, maybe a bit more, maybe 15 pixels. So let's go for a top 15 pixels, left 15 pixels. Okay, so width wise, I would say that's about 300 ish. So let's go for width 300 pixels. And a height, I'm going to go for 250 pixels. And we're going to go for a background color of, I'm assuming there's a navy. Yeah, navy. So save that and we'll get the update. Okay, so it's actually was actually only 10 pixels again, because that looks like it's a bit further out. Let's just, even though I said it's not going to be perfect, let's just see. And I would say that therefore now I've got that right, the width is about the same, but obviously I've overdone the height. So let's bring the height down to 200. And although it looks like it's still not 100% correct, that's good enough for me. So now we're going to deal with this maroony colour one. Okay, so it's grandchild number 1, we're going to call that. So that's dot p1 dom underscore grandchild 1. Okay, we're going to go with position absolute. And we're going to start off with top, and I would say that is actually probably the 15 pixels that I thought it was before. And left, yeah, left is definitely not that. Left actually looks more like about 8 pixels. Maybe it's, tell you what, I'm going to go for 10 pixels there and 20 pixels there. And we're going to go for a width. Width is not much, is it? Let's go for 100 pixels. And a height of, say, 50 pixels. And the background color, I'm assuming there's a maroon. Yeah, there we go. Let's save that, and again, let's just see. Okay, first mistake, it's not left, it's right. So let's save that. And again, that looks pretty much spot on to me. May not be 100% perfect, there is a little bit of movement going on, but that's good enough for me. And then we can do our great grandchild. So again, P1 dot underscore great grandchild 1. Position is absolute. It's probably something like 5 pixels on both sides. So top 5 pixels and right is 5 pixels. And size of it, crikey. Well, if we have a look at the grandchild, that had a width of 100. And so this looks like it's probably got a width of about 30. So it's about a third of that, so 30 pixels. And a height, probably no more than 5 pixels, maybe 10 pixels. Let's give it 10 pixels. And give it a background color of hot pink. And that is surprisingly perfect. I didn't think I'd get it that accurate. Cool. Not going to complain. So that was parent, child, grandchild, great grandchild. So I will now want parent, child, grandchild. Okay. So dot p1 dot underscore grandchild number 2. And again, we go for position absolute. We are going to go for a bottom. And again, what is that? It's got 10 pixels. And the right value of 10 pixels. And then I would say it's about the same height as the original grandchild, which was a height of 50. So let's go for 50 square. So let's go for width of 50 pixels, a height of 50 pixels, and a background color of green. Save that, swap it, look at that. Colors may not be right, but positioning, you can't really complain that much, can you? Superb. Okay, so now it's still with this one here. Yep. So this is going to be child number 2. So parent 1, child 2. So dot parent 1 dot underscore child 2. Position is absolute, and this is going to be a difficult one to work out. Okay, so let's go from the bottom. And how far up from the bottom? Well, I say it's about the same as its height. Let's go for 100 pixels. And right of 10 pixels. And I'm going to say it's 100 pixels square. So width 100 pixels and a height of 100 pixels. And we need to give it a background color. And was that teal? Save that, and let's just see how far off I am. Wow, this is almost if I wrote it before, which I did, but honestly, I didn't know these numbers, just making them up as I go along. So that is bang on position and size and everything. And now we've just got the little square. So, and because this is child 2, this is going to be This is going to be a grandchild, and it should be grandchild number 3 because we've already got grandchild 1, 2. So this is number 3. So dot p1 _ grandchild number 3. Again, we're going to go for position absolute. We're going to go for a top of, what have we been saying these before? Have they all been 10 pixels? It's got about the same. Top 10 pixels, right. 10 pixels. And I'm assuming it's going to be a 50. No, it's not going to be 50. He was 50, weren't he? What was he? You know, parent 1, grandchild 2. Yeah, he was 50-50, and that's smaller. How much more? Let's go 30-30. Width 30 pixels. Height 30 pixels. And backhoe. Let's go for blue violet. Let's save it. Okay, so I've gone too small here. Position wise it's correct, but it's too small. Let's try it at 40. There we go. Sorted. Quite happy with that. And that leaves us to deal with parent number 2. Okay, so dot p2 position absolute. Okay, so what was this one? So parent 1, look at our code, was top at 100 with a height 5, so it's 610 is here. So how big is that gap? We're saying this is 700. Is this 90? Is it? Okay, let's try that. Let's go for 700. So top 700 pixels. Left. Well, okay. Let's just call that 100 pixels and see what that looks like. Width, again, this is a difficult one to work out. It's say this one's, what was this one's about 50 or something like that, so this would be more like 100. This would be 100. Let's go for 200 by 150. And background colour, it's got to be something like dark grey, isn't it? That's not dark grey at all. You're lying to me. I have to go for dark orange just to make the difference. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Right, so obviously I'm too far down by quite a long way. And too far across by probably, so left I've done 100, so I'm going to go for left of 70. Let's see. Yeah, it makes the left about right. Obviously done my maths wrong here, so let's change that to 600. So we're still down. In fact, we're out by both by a little bit. Let's make that 550. And let's make left 50 as well. Well, I'm still slightly out. Like I said, I'm not trying to get it perfect, although my brain's saying I need to make it perfect. So because my brain's telling me I'm going to try, I'm going to go for 560 on both. And that looks like it's right. Okay, so even though I told you didn't have to, yeah, all right. Okay, so that's in the right place. In fact, that looks like it is spot on. So now we just got dot P2 and it's child, not PW, P2 and it's child 1, which we're going to do position absolute. And to me, it looks like we're probably 10 pixels out on both, top and left. And now the width. So the width in this one is 200. So this is probably a width of 100. It's not a square, so let's go for a height 70. My background colour, I'll go for Alice blue. Save that, let's have a look. So position and width, is width about right? I think the width is right, but the height is out a bit. Okay, let's go for, I don't want to go too much. I think 90 might be too much. There you go. Perfect. Okay, now you may believe me, you may not believe me, but I've honestly not looked at the code for this. Okay, obviously I did write the code some time ago, but I've literally done that by eye. Like I say, I'm not the world's greatest web designer, not by a long shot. You know, out of the whole world, I'm probably still in the bottom third. But this is a really nice sort of exercise to do, just to test your skill out and see how close you can get it. And if you've got friends who are doing the same thing, I recommend that you do this. That, you know, one of you guys go off and you build these weird little shapes, you know, with elements inside elements. Don't put the values in and try and get the other person to replicate it just by looking at it, because by being able to do this, you're improving your understanding of how to do the structure, the HTML structure, as well as fine-tuning your CSS skills and your visual measuring skills as well. Because again, like I said, I have done this purely by sight, and yet the results are pretty spot on. Okay, they're absolutely spot on. It looks like my borders on these are slightly bigger than they are on this one, or my little gaps, but I mean, apart from that, that is pretty awesome. So bottom line is, if you've been able to do this, or if you've been able to follow me and you get it and think you could reproduce it by yourself, congratulations, you've basically learned everything you need to on absolute positioning, and you should be able to replicate any layout that you want. In the next video, or the next video that I think I'm making, I'm going to be explaining relative positioning and you know, why we would use it and stuff like that. But as usual, if you liked the video, please like it. If you didn't like it, well, okay, that's fine. I won't take offense. You know, you can dislike it, but also comment. Tell me what was good, tell me what wasn't good, how I could improve it, if there's a video you want me to do. Like I say, you know, if you're not gonna, you know, like if you like it, dislike if you don't. Don't forget to subscribe, you know, hit that belly thing and all that jazz. This is Zen signing off, and I'll see you next time.